Hey everybody, it's Jay here with RC and Nature. How you doing? Now, in regards to the Hoss on the Rocks extreme durability demo that I will be posting, this is the Hoss after the demo. I wiped it down a bit, blew it off with the leaf blower, and kind of got her looking somewhat presentable, but this will just go over exactly what's wrong with her. So surprisingly, I did replace one of the steering mechanism arms. It did bust. Just one part of the plastic. I do have a full steering assembly, including rear CV assembly kit, all in aluminum and red. I will be installing that into this truck at some point. But for the demo, I wanted it to be stock. And surprisingly enough, other than one piece that I did have to replace, the truck is still unbroken. And I mean, those were big rocks. That was probably the hardest that I've ever beat a truck. My wheelie bar, the one wheel's a little bent. I'm still debating whether or not to cut the thing off because, as I had mentioned, you can't take it off because you have to literally take all this apart, and then there's nothing to go in there. So the wheelie bar is more or less essentially mandatory, unless you can get a piece that just doesn't have the wheelie bar that replaces that rear end part, or just cut it off yourself. You can see there's quite extensive damage from the rocks with the rear arms, the front arms, the bumper, but it's, you know, expected and not broken. You know, if this was winter, it'd be a different story for sure. But I do believe I have for sure a rear diff issue. You can see there. Where's my flashlight? That she is leaking diff grease, and it's all sprayed up on the inside of the body too. So I probably broke the plastic gearbox, and the gears are probably slipping out of position, causing a crack, which I probably caused, and then the gear oil is spraying out when it heats up, and then it'll seal. I mean, it still runs. It's still operating. It is slipping a bit. I can tell when I really goose it that the crack is opening up. So I do believe I cracked the gearbox. But that is the only thing. Oh, it looks like I've lost something here for my waterproof box. Something has obviously popped out of there from my receiver box here. So I guess I'll have to look at getting a piece for that. That kind of sucks. I never noticed that, but I mean, I guess that's pretty minor. Yeah. I've got new arms, front and rear. Yeah. But I'll just wait until these ones break. And shocks held up, believe it or not. None of the shock caps popped off, even amidst all that rock hopping. And that's surprising to me as well. My glue is coming undone. And when it was really warm and I was jumping, they were almost coming off. So, you know, I'll have to reglue the wheels. But, you know, with 3S and that big motor, that's pretty expected on a rock pile like that. So, you know, that doesn't surprise me. All in all, pretty happy with the way it held up. I did blow the rear gearbox. I will be including that in this video, looking at it, seeing what's wrong with it, and then, you know, maybe a quick couple tips on what might need to be done to be fixing it if there's something I feel that's, you know, required. And then I will be showing the finished product with the front and rear steering assembly, CV, rear CV assembly, and just a quick shot of what that looks like when it's all together. I mean, it's pretty straightforward to put those together. You just, you know, go by the manual or whatever, and they go in just the same as the plastic ones. So no need to do a tutorial on that. But yeah, we'll just see you back when I get this gearbox cracked open. Hey everybody, it's Jay here with RC of Nature. How you doing? So yes, I have torn down the Hoss. I took it all apart. Surprisingly enough to me, there is nothing wrong with the gearbox, with the rear diff. I took everything apart, re-greased it, and the best I can figure is that I guess it just heated up. Things got a little bit loose, and the grease just sort of started spraying out. I thought for sure I had cracked the gearbox, but I took it apart and there was nothing wrong with it. So, you know, that's a good thing. So, you know, to retract my statement of what went wrong with the truck on the Hoss on the Rocks demo, essentially nothing major anyway, other than, you know, the damage that I had mentioned with the one screw coming out of the front arm and popping the shock out. That was the first thing that occurred. The way I'm going to fix that is I'm going to put a longer screw all the way through there and put a nut on the other end so that that screw can't pull out of the hole and yank out because it's just partially screwed in there. This is something that they've changed on the design that I do not really like, but it is a pretty quick fix. You just get a longer screw, screw it all the way through the arm, and then put a nut on the end. And that way you've got the whole front of the arm holding that shock on there, rather than just, you know, that little bit of threads that goes into the front part of the arm, and then you hit it really hard and that can pull out. So that's one thing that I am going to do on this Hoss before I run it again. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But that was the one thing that broke. Also, the one steering mechanism, the front piece here, I did bust one of those, and that was an easy fix as well. So those are the only two things that actually broke on the truck through the entire demo. There was no leak, other than the fact that, you know, I guess it just got really hot and the grease got really thin, and just the way I was bouncing it off those rocks and jumping it, I think it just got, you know, really strained, and it did spring a leak. Strangely enough, there's nothing damaged. All the gears are meshing properly. I even took the inner diff apart on the rear, and everything's fine. I added a little bit of grease to it, but it hadn't even leaked. So it was the outer gearbox that was leaking. And I mean, they're not totally sealed, so, you know, it's not a big surprise that it would leak. And I did notice that the front, it leaked a little bit too, but you know, that's not a big deal. You just clean it up when you get to it. Next time I take something apart, you know, I'll clean it up. And yeah, so really happy with the fact that you know, nothing really broke at all. And that's, you know, just a couple little minor plastic parts. Yeah, I have not switched to my aluminum steering assembly because I really have a problem with switching parts out if they're not broken. So, you know, I want to run the plastic a little longer, at least till the winter, because the winter does help with the aluminum parts. It helps with the steering. It's better than the plastic. Plus, you're most likely going to break them in the winter anyway. So I'll probably switch them up, when it gets cold and snows. But until then, I think I'll just use the plastic ones, because I know if I take the plastic ones off, I'll never use them again. So, I'm going to run the plastic for a little bit longer, but I will, show how it looks with the red and whatever once I do go there and get that done. But yeah, all in all, pretty happy. So I'm going to say something about working on Traxxas trucks, like especially this new Hoss. It's actually easier to work on than the Stampedes, just by a little bit. I mean, it's relatively the same design, but I mean, when you're talking about taking apart these Traxxas trucks, it's like this screw, and a few on top, and a couple pieces. You take the wheelie bar off, and this whole rear end just pops right out, and then you can work on it. And I mean, Traxxas is like light years ahead of other companies in regards to like how easy their trucks are to work on. Like for example, my rival there, I bought it off a buddy of mine because he had like all the parts for it, and it was a super good deal. And I noticed the slipper clutch was slipping a little bit, and I wanted to check the pinion gear, and lo and behold, you got to remove the battery box. And in order to remove the battery box, pretty much everything else on the truck and on the chassis has to come off. And here I am, and don't get me started on the fact that it's Phillips screws, and they're trying to make sure you take it apart as often as possible. I mean, so you're at the track or something, and you want to change your pinion gear. It's like, okay, well, see you guys tomorrow, or next week if the kids are acting up. Like I've worked on that truck, and it needs work because I think there's something wrong with the diff, and I'm dreading it because it's just like, do I really want to go through what I have to go through, just to get to those parts in the truck and see what's wrong with it? So it's like, and don't even get me started on axial plastics, and all that stuff. So, there's a reason why I buy Traxxas trucks, and when it comes to working on them, like, it's just so much easier. I mean, even my new LMT by Losi, it's not too bad, but there are stuff in there like that is just compared to Traxxas. I look at it and it's like, why did you do this? And so when it comes to working on Traxxas trucks, it's just so easy. The front comes off, the rear comes off, everything comes apart. You can get it, your spur gear, your pinion gear, slipper clutch is easy to pull out, check. I mean, everything is just really convenient, and that's just one of the main reasons why I really like Traxxas. It's like, if something breaks, it's not like a big huge deal to get into fixing it. And so it's just a little few words about why I like Traxxas and how much easier they are to work on than the other brands of RC stuff. So I have patched the hole in my receiver box. There was something in here, a plug or something. I don't even recall what it looked like. All I know is that I looked at it yesterday and there was just a hole there. So something came in there, and in the process of the run video popped out, and I have no idea what it was, even what it looked like, but I imagine it was some kind of a rubber plug or seal or something. All I did was, I keep these foam packs, that your shocks and stuff come in, because you just cut a little bit of that foam off, and then you just cut it to a bigger size and just squeeze it in there, and like, I guarantee you that's more waterproof, or just as waterproof as any rubber, you know, that's hard foam, and I cut it, you know, a good length so that I stuffed a lot of it in there, so there's a lot of it there to seal, and that should take care of the problem. And the issue with the shocks, as you can see, just a longer screw and a nut on each side. And if you screw the screw, even though the hole doesn't go all the way through, if you just keep screwing, it does push through, and it just pushes a little bit of plastic out, and you just cut it off with an X-Acto knife, and you're good to put your nuts on. So yeah, all the problems from the run video fixed, and the Hoss is ready to run.